You're tuned in to RX Radio.
Hey, and we're here. Welcome to the most requested guest and co-host of the show, my friend, number one on your playbooks, number one in our hearts. What's up, man? How you doing?
It's great to be here. I wish I was there, but it's still great to be here
soon.
In spirit. Very
soon, man. Just coming out soon. You'll be here.
I cannot wait to be there.
Dude.
I think it's going to be the best seminar yet.
Yeah, Toronto. This is back, the first one we did together. The Good Life in Mississauga. It's so funny. I was thinking yesterday, I was walking down just by like the lake where my place is. And I ran into two people and I had no idea who they were. They were actually, it was Santino and Ellie from the fitness managers that ran the Good Life that we taught at. And that was the first time, oddly enough, that we met Killian, was that course.
That's right,
if you do recall. So the prodigal son is coming back. So you're coming to Toronto for the lower body intensive at Pure Muscle and Fitness, October 2nd and 3rd. And then, spoiler alert, I will be in the Bay Area for a week after that with you. That's it, guys. That's all the time we have for today. Subscribe to the podcast. It's not going to get any better than that. But yeah, man, pumped. So speaking of current events, did you watch the Paul fight this weekend?
So, no, by principle.
Go. What does that mean?
But I heard about the results.
By principle. So is it like where is the principle that he's just?
So I've heard a lot about it's Logan Paul and Jake Paul, they're brothers, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they're YouTubers that got into boxing, right?
Yeah.
Before you start, Jiunta, just turn your headphones or your mic down just a touch. It's a little bit hot.
Turn my mic down.
Whichever one you're plugged into on your Zoom.
Is that better?
It sounds less in my ears.
Give me a test 1 2.
Test 1 2.
Yeah, that's a better volume for sure. I appreciate it. Thank
He's
you.
He's
very
just
much.
amped up. He's excited to be here.
I know. I'm stoked.
Am I allowed?
I'm actually just trying to be louder than Shallow. That's all it is.
That ain't gonna work.
I bring the smoke.
It was on 11. Still didn't succeed.
So go principle. The principle behind.
Oh man.
Is it the YouTube thing?
It's I mean, I don't know anything about these guys other than what I could gather from scrolling their Instagram for I don't know, 10 minutes. But it's just like they seem like the poster childs of privilege, and everyone just seems to love it and just feed into it. And now they're like, I don't know, they're probably making millions off these boxing matches, which is, as I understand, who did he fight?
Tyrone Woodley. He's a UFC champ.
UFC fighter, right. So he's a fighter, but he's retired, right, at this point?
Yeah, he's not actively fighting in the UFC.
Right. So I'm sure it takes some skill. It definitely takes skill to beat a UFC fighter in a boxing match. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I really want to buy into this because of the way that it portrays the sport of boxing, right? I think it's kind of disrespectful towards the sport itself.
So my thing is the sport of boxing is disrespectful to boxers. It's such a right, it's such a money grab. So it's funny because I was opposed to it. It spiked my interest because Jake Botswick, the bare knuckle guy.
Yeah.
So Jake was a part of Paul's camp, so he helped prep him for this fight. So he would fight this fucking crazy badass South London bare knuckle boxer to prep for it. And it's like, here's my thing. What boxers that I'm not a huge boxing fan by any stretch of the imagination. I was very interested when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off. I used to watch Lennox Lewis fights and things like that, but by no means an expert. But name a fighter that in their first 4 fights, I think, are fighting actual people that know how to fight and winning. Yeah. And to your point about privilege, it's a lot of pro athletes. I know guys in the NHL. I picked the NHL specifically because hockey, you need to be quite privileged as a child because it's such an expensive sport to play. The equipment, the travel, the ice time, the coaches, the everything that comes along with ice hockey. So it's why is it that this guy who, does he have more privilege than Tom Brady? Is Tom Brady not the epitome of privilege? Because Tom Brady's wife makes more money than him. He's got Uggs money that he can live off the interest for the rest of his life. But what is it about, was football never sanctimonious like boxing was? Because it's interesting. I don't disagree with you. Like, I'd be remiss to call him a fuckboy because he seems like he can throw hands. But at the same time, like,
I mean, I still call him a fuckboy. I just get my ass beat.
Would you though? Dude, someone asked me the question today. One of the greatest questions I've ever been asked.
I saw that
Wait,
shit.
did you? Dude, it was a terrifying thought. It was like, you know how you usually get the question, like, would you rather fight 100 horse-shaped or horse-sized ducks or one duck-sized horse?
Yeah.
And the question was, would you rather fight Killian's mind in Jiunta's body or Jiunta's mind in Killian's body? And I was like, I'd rather punch myself in the face. Fuck that. Both of you,
I
like,
can't even comprehend that, dude.
because
that's just ridiculous.
Because I think physical capability and skill, I'm more worried about you, right? Because you're wrestling back.
a lot to me.
Well, dude, like I've been grabbed up by a lot of dudes. But there's one time where you was like, this guy's not, he don't play. But you wrestled with guys who wrestled. Like you were like, I don't think people know that part of the country when it comes to a pedigree of a sport, right? Like you guys turn out the best wrestlers in America and, arguably like the world. So that scared me. And Killian's mind, and I don't, he's told me, and so I'm going to tell everyone, he's pulled knives on people in public transit. Like that's how my phone rings sometimes.
Is that what you have to say so you don't get arrested? You just say hypothetically.
Hypothetically, that definitely happened. But it's like, I think Killian's mind in your body is terrifying because he's out west drinking IPAs and shit. Like he doesn't sleep a lot. He's usually twitching on ephedrine. He's got attention tremors now. It's like I make enough Michael J. Fox references and he just turns into Michael J. Fox. I love how he's not here and I'm just trashing the shit out of him. He's not going to listen. But I think that's a dangerous conversation, or like that's a dangerous human being to have. But back to like the Paul thing. Is he any more privileged than anyone else?
So the thing that like screams privilege is think about Conor McGregor made 100 schmil from getting his ass beat by Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
Like those are the shots that these kids are getting. That's 12. What was that 12 rounds? 12 2-minute rounds?
Yeah.
In a fucking half hour.
Fighting a 140-pound man.
How long did it take Brady to make his 100 mil?
Yeah.
This is, he played high school, he played college, he went pro, he played years and years, and he earned that money. Like, people can talk shit that pro athletes are overpaid, but he earned that money. But, having this thing that's kind of a hobby because it gets you views on YouTube, you make 100 schmil in one night.
I think looking at, so this is where I would maybe just come in with a counterpoint, is like understanding that what you're buying isn't sport anymore. It's art, and the art you're buying is marketing, because marketing is the art of the 21st century, right? Like, okay, did you see? Do you know what Bored Ape Yacht Club is? Lundy, quick Google search for me. It's like
I have no idea what that is.
So hold on, Lundy's trying to find me a screen.
Is this an actual yacht club?
No,
Like,
but that'd be
boats
amazing
involved?
with like boats full of bored monkeys. I'd pay for that. So
does it involve cryptocurrency?
yes.
It sounds like it
well,
does.
I'll tell you what it involves is NFTs.
Yes.
Which
exactly.
is like
exactly.
It's like, yeah, that is exactly. Is that what it's called? Welcome to Bored Ape Yacht Club, the new NFT community where 50 million has already traded hands. It's fucking Pokemon cards.
Yes.
Right? And so Logan posted in his story last week that he sold, and you buy them with Ethereum, I think, or you can buy them with Ethereum.
Yes.
And Logan Paul sold one of these. It's a fucking PDF, right? Like that's what it is. It's a PDF. It's like I screenshotted it on my phone when I saw it in his story, and I cropped it, and it was the background on my phone. It was like, oh, this thing's worth like 80 Ethereum, which is like $1 bajillion or whatever.
Yeah, I think he made like 3.5 mil off selling.
You saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it's like a picture, a Pokemon card of himself.
But it's also like it's an anthropomorphization, if that's a fucking word. It's an embodiment.
Don't know what it means if it is.
It's an embodiment of it. Like I just love the layers of inception that story had, because if you can understand that purchase, you can understand the Paul brothers. And you can start to appreciate the art of what they're doing. No, of course not, because like we were raised, and we've talked about this in the past. Like we were raised on this cusp of the digital age, where we had a scraped knee when we came into the internet. We like had we had to come in from the street lights being on when we got into the internet. So we had a really tough time being indoctrinated fully. Like, I still remember logging in and out of MSN to get a girl's attention. Like, this guy's clearly, is he in the room? Is he not in the room? Like, what is he doing here? Like, love me. But it's like, we had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? Like, we dated people in high school that we had to talk to. You know how terrifying that is to ask another human being out? I still, to this day, have not asked Tessa out. She just lives with me now. Like, that was way easier than dating in high school. So it's like and I'm trying to adopt an understanding around it because it's like, I think it will be useful. Like, I don't want to be my dad with technology and like having to FaceTime his ear hole is like, Dad, I can see you. But I think if you understand like that purchase of the board and the transaction of Logan's Bored Ape Yacht Club PDF, you understand the Paul brothers and you can start to maybe respect them in this environment because like they're pioneering whatever this is. They're very much, and here's my thing. It's like, I don't know if they're having a conscious conversation around it. Like, hey, let's do this and let's do this. Because so many people sit back and like, yo, they're geniuses. I'm like, no, I think they're just the perfect storm of time and place. Like, there's 9 billion people in the world. There's a few people that just get all the breaks. Not to say that the guy doesn't work hard. Like, he clearly trains hard. And Jake, I remember seeing Jake after a scrap with him, and he punched Jake so hard that he detached the ligament that holds your tongue to the bottom of your mouth.
Oh,
dude,
that sounds miserable.
Haymakers, right? But it's like, do you hate the player or hate the game?
Right. Well, it's two conversations to be had. There's business and there's sport.
No,
right?
That's the same. Yo, that's the same conversation, homie.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, it is.
Right.
It is. But the ideals of sport, I guess.
Yeah,
is
I fuck with that. I fuck with that.
Because, like, I mean, I'm very idealistic when it comes to, like, being in the gym. Like, we kind of have a business built around that, right? So the thing in my mind is, like, when I say privilege, it's like, think of the kid in the gym that's going rounds, like, waiting for his shot. He's probably got more raw talent, more skill, more determination, more drive, and just less breaks than these kids. Like, that's the ideals that I'm talking about. It's like, that's where I say privilege. Like, he's the one not getting a shot because he doesn't have a couple million YouTube followers. And then it just kind of falls into these kids' laps just because, oh, my big brother started boxing, I'm going to do it too. And like,
does the kid in your hypothetical story have an iPhone?
I mean, I'd imagine.
Well, that's
if not, maybe he has an Android.
Right.
He's not getting the breaks.
What a commie. But it's like, my thing with that is, boxing of all sports has existed from a sport perspective on the backs of ideals more than any other sport, right? The boxer story is the American dream. It's always told to us as that. I remember we were at Stefan Haid's house, and there's this guy named Gogo. He's a Serbian boxer. He's such a good person. Gogo, if you're listening to this, Gogo Braveheart on Instagram. There's an energy about Gogo. He's so fucking amazing. And he's cutting for a fight. And he's a boxer through and through. And we're like in there, he's in like one of the sauna suits or whatever, and he's doing rounds in the sauna suit and then going in an actual sauna. I'm just like, dude, just fucking, because he wanted to watch this movie. He was about to leave for like Jacksonville for this fight. And I was just like, oh, go. I can't do the boxing movies, homie. It's the same story over and over again. He's like, I'm like, let me guess, some come from behind underdog story. And he's like, no, it's not like that at all. He's like, it's about a guy who gets a brain injury and then comes back for it. I'm like, go. It's the same fucking story. Like, it's the same thing over and over again. And it's I forget what it's called. But anyways, it's just, boxing from an ideal standpoint has always been romanticized as this, like, it's such a evolved primal sport that should embody, everything from athleticism to, a certain level of cognitive ability to also a certain level of sportsmanship, right? Back in the day, it was like very much, and not that it was like a gentlemanly pursuit, but there was always camaraderie for the man in the arena, right? Like, that's one of my favorite quotes. It's quite a long poem. I think it's Teddy Roosevelt talked about the man in the arena. So it's very much ingrained in like the fabric of the American story. So understanding that on the surface, it was always sold to us on its ideals, but it was sold to us as a business. Like only now, I think,
no doubt.
but here's the thing. I think Paul, and this is something cool that he did, he made sure that people on the undercard got paid. He was like, you know, it was a Showtime production, but he's like, no, like everyone's going to get paid, which is like, maybe this is the way to actually fix the business of boxing, to make it more about the ideals. Because it's like, he's the first guy that's ever like, because I think the thing that gives him a lot of freedom is that he secured the bag before he got into boxing, right? YouTube allowed him to be independently wealthy off the eyeballs he was able to garner, and he just pulled eyeballs into it. So like, I think as much as I want to like just class him up as like a fuck boy, I think he's done more for boxing on both the ideals and the business side. Because it's like, you know, the UFC is bending fighters over.
Yeah.
Right? Like what's a UFC card? And this is, I was bringing up another point that I was looking into before we got on the podcast. Was like, what does an average UFC fighter make? Like a not Conor.
Dude, like pennies.
Lundo,
like
you got a screen up? Can you hit me up with like Francis Ngannou's last purse? I have a buddy. He's a chiro here in Toronto, in like the Burlington area, and he's fucking genius. His name's Adam Dunn. We have coffee together like almost every morning. He works with this golfer named Patrick Cantlay. Cantlay won the BMW championship last weekend. You want to know how much he made, Lundo? Yeah, so let me hit me with the Ngannou thing first. Any idea? All right, so Ngannou made a little under a schmel. Probably one of the bigger cards, known as the hardest striker in UFC history, right? Like just a complete, they did like a sports science thing. It's like getting hit by a Humvee or something like that. You want to know how much Patrick Cantlay made?
What's that?
9.5 million.
Fuck.
4 days of walking in a field. Are you fucking joking me? Someone else is carrying his clubs. Guy made 9.5 racks. But it's like, even in Ngannou, it's like you're the best in the world. You take down a card. It's like, yeah, there's PGA events literally every weekend, right? So to see these events how to like coalesce, it's like sports is business, right? But like, tell you what, Cantlay securing the bag. You think he's donating any of these? You think he's making sure the guy in 20th place gets paid? Fuck that. I'm out of here. I'm hopping in my Buick Rendezvous or whatever. He's gone. Where it's like, even in UFC, like the main guys don't push for Dana White to spread the bread because they're getting their piece. Like Ngannou's never going to unionize the UFC. Fuck that, man. I'm getting paid. I got $1 million. I'll pick up another couple mil on the sponsorships or something. So it's like, I don't know, man. I think Jake Paul has the ability to be like kind of the Dark Knight, like the hero boxing needed.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of fuck with that, and so the more I think about it, I understand the high person boxing, because you have to think about longevity in the sport, right? Like in boxing, dude, you're destroying your fucking brain. Like you got to think about, these people need to get in, get out, make their money, and get on with life. Because if like Mayweather, dude, like he's got to be, dude, he's missing a couple brain cells up there. He's got to. He's like had like what, 50 professional fights? Yeah,
but he doesn't get hit. And the thing is, like, he's not getting licked by guys like Francis Ngannou is heavy.
Yeah,
he's fighting other 140-pound guys.
That's the thing with like with UFC fights though, is that it's not as much trauma, right? It's more impact, I guess you would say. No gloves,
right.
But it's like one and done. It's not like you're getting fucking tapped in the brain like 120 times over the course of the night.
And you can lose a fight. Like there are fights that go right to the ground where you're not even gonna get licked. It was funny.
Yeah, like go for the ankle, pull that thing off, and it's done.
It's kind of. Do you remember Matt Hughes?
Yeah, the wrestler, right?
Yeah.
UFC, are you talking about? Yeah.
How recently have you checked up on him?
Oh, dude, I haven't heard his name since like 2002.
So here's something real crazy. Talk about longevity, like not even in the sport. Matt Hughes, and I just found this out too, and I don't want to like, whatever, sand dunes? Like the rehab kind of thing that's like the stepping pad that has like foam in it or whatever. Anyways, I follow this company. They're a good company. I'm gonna shout them out, like with no affiliation or anything like that. But I follow them, and I noticed they did a post. Literally today, I was fucking like, it totally blew me back because I liked the UFC when it was like 4 cards a year, and it was slugfest. Like there was never a boring card. Yeah, it wasn't like, we watched a Iceman fight and like they just sort of tapped each other and got paid. It was like those guys were paving the way for the UFC to be this huge multinational that fucking runs hundreds of it's a what, $4 or $5 billion industry, maybe more. And it was fucking Matt Hughes. It was Chuck Liddell. It was BJ Penn. Fucking Matt Hughes got hit by a train in 2017. Dude, it'd break your fucking heart, man. Like, I was choked up just watching it because I saw him and I was like, oh, like, I wonder what Matt Hughes is rehabbing from, because I saw him on this Instagram page doing some rehab drills, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, I thought he was out of the game for a minute, and then I kind of quickly, like, just seeing his face, I was like, yo, hold on, like, let me do some investigated forensic Instagramming real quick. And dude, if you go on his Instagram page, like, he's cognizant now, but like was driving in his truck. I think he's from somewhere in Illinois, and he got hit by a moving train in his truck.
Fuck.
Dude, and is like, I mean, kind of to your bigger point about, you know, the longevity in the sport, he's not the same person. Like, he's not, like, will never regain full, like, he's ambulatory, he's walking, but like never regained full motor function. Had to relearn how to walk, relearn how to talk, relearn his fucking first name, right? And it's like, you know, it's one thing about longevity in the sport, but it's also just like, make your money and get out regardless of anything you're doing, right? Like, you never know when your number's up, man. Like, this guy was,
true.
And when I was watching, I wasn't big into it. I wasn't betting on it. Like, we had buddies back home that were like, would watch Pride and watch any fucking fight because it was kind of hard to get your hands on in some stages. It was like just evolved out of backyard wrestling. And it was like, they're fighting in a cage, but also on TV. And he was the fucking guy. Like, he was a Hall of Famer, and he had a wrestling background too, which, like, that was his game. He was like, you can watch my practices because I'm going to take you to the mat and I'm going to choke you out. So you can, my practices are open. Go ahead. I'm still going to do the thing anyways, whether you know it, what I'm doing or not. That's what I'm going to do. So you can come, or you just expect that because that's what I'm going to do. So if you can stop me from doing that, great, you'll win. But if you can't, I'm going to win. Matt Hughes. And I was like, fucking terrifying. And now he's out. Like, he's out of the game of, not like, I don't want to say out of the game of life, because he's still, like, you know, he's rehabbing every day, but I don't know, man. Like, the longer these, and maybe it's just me trying to keep up with the times, but these Paul guys kind of think they got it figured out. Like, I think they're a new wave of the decentralized athlete. Like, they're going to start, you know, if UFC is owned by Fox and we start to see these productions on Showtime, we start to see them on FX, or we start to see them on basically anyone who sees the writing on the wall. Like, if you give this guy, if he takes equity stake in one of these companies and he pulls Canelo over to it, and there's a main card UFC fight, but there's Canelo and Paul, how do you think the UFC is going to do that night? What if he fights McGregor? What if him and McGregor got together and put together a fucking organization? They have all the eyeballs. What does the UFC have to offer McGregor that McGregor can't get himself? Undercard? Get Snoop. I'm sure Snoop's hurting. Get Snoop to fight Kid Rock. Snoop, Kid Rock undercard.
I might pay for that one.
You know what it is? It's the product market fit for celebrity boxing now. And it's like, I think he's got something down the pipe that's really going to disrupt like the UFC.
This is celebrity deathmatch. Remember, like, the little clay figurines?
Amazing. Yeah.
And they would just put them in the ring and they would pop each other's heads?
It's like,
that's what this is.
What do you think happens next? Canelo or Conor?
Dude, I think McGregor's a good shot at this because that dude loves making money. He fucking loves making money. And he's broken right now.
Who do you think wins? Paul's considerably larger.
Yeah, that's true.
They'd have to come to like a check weight.
Dude. Yeah.
Like,
man. That's hard to say. Honestly, I haven't watched Paul box much. I mean, I think McGregor's a better UFC fighter. I don't know about boxer, though.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Being able to differentiate striking from boxing is something different. Like, even because I know guys who can fight who can't box because they can street fight, right? And that's what I think what we're seeing is like we've clearly said, and Schultz was talking about this, and I completely like to a T what I was thinking was you're seeing the difference now between the UFC striking and what boxing is because they're not the same thing, right? Yep. But I think Jake has too many advantages. Like if McGregor will take that fight knowing it's probably be his last.
I don't know if it'd be his last fight,
dude. Because I mean, he's dropped 2 to Poirier. He hasn't won a fight in 5 years. Conor McGregor hasn't won a fight in 5 years. Not true.
And he's making more money than ever.
He punched the old guy who hated his whiskey or some bullshit like that. That was the last fight he won. Is sucker punching some Mick who hated his fucking scotch.
Yeah. The more I think about it, I don't think he'd win that fight.
Well, I think too. Like, I think after that, he's clinging to relevance right now. If he fights, it's a high risk fight if he takes another fight at all. Whoever he fights next is going to be high risk because the pressure for that guy, like it's a pretty unforgiving sport. Mm-hmm. That like, I mean, Hughes was like 49 or 51-2 or something like that in his UFC career. Like something crazy. Can you look at Matt Hughes' record? He had a ridiculous amount of fights. That's right. Where it's like, but if you lose a handful of fights, especially in a row, you're 45-9.
That's fucking
wild. Are you
wild,
fucking joking? And that's like a different 45 fights. Like those are, every one of those is fucking going to the mat and it's going the distance or you're going to the hospital. Like that's how UFC fights used to end. Not like there's been some good cards lately, but I'm like by no means like a fight expert or anything like that. But I think if McGregor takes another fight, it's a must win regardless.
I would like to think that's the approach to every single fucking fight.
But I mean, he lost Poirier and still got the other fight, and he still got eyeballs for second Poirier. He got Poirier after losing to Khabib, right? Like there's a non-linear representation of the depreciation of people's attention span if you're not winning and or entertaining. He's been getting pretty like, I don't want to say grotesque, but I'm going to use the word because did you see that COVID thing shot at Khabib that he did about his father? No. It's like Khabib put up a post after Poirier dusted Conor last time, and the tweet was, so Khabib was kind of saying, it was like, good always triumphs over evil, which was basically like saying Conor was evil and Poirier was good. And I've heard Poirier's like a salt of the earth, like super like good guy. Actually, Poirier reminds me a lot of like Matt Hughes in the way he carries himself. Just like the all-American down-home kid, like, you know, does it for the right reasons. Kind of your point about like the integrity and the morality behind the sport itself. So Khabib posts that tweet, and it was clearly directed at Conor. And then Conor tweeted back at him and was like, because Khabib's father had passed from COVID, and then he goes, I guess COVID was good and your father was evil because good always triumphs over evil.
Damn,
and
that's
I was
a low
like,
blow.
That is a low blow, right? And it's like, here's a guy who, I mean, Khabib to me is probably one of the purest athletes. Like anytime we got a Russian guy with videos confirmed fighting bears, and it was the same bear over years. He's fighting like a full-blown Kodiak at like 13, and it's like I was like, oh yeah, they used to fight when he was 4, and he's fighting this cub like all the way through. It's like a weird Lion King thing. And it's, you know, you see someone like that, it's the public will only put up with so much. So like, I think Conor knows going into his next fight, like, because I don't think he's going to get Khabib again, right? Poirier doesn't have any reason to fight him. The UFC has no reason to put him in front of him. There are bigger fights, I think, that could draw more attention in the UFC. Paul's not going to go into the UFC. I think the logical thing, the next fight, they're not going to do Woodley again. Because there's no fucking way Woodley's getting I Love Jake Paul tattooed on him, which was the stakes for the fight.
Jesus.
Right. So loser was supposed to get the other person's name tattooed on them. Then Tyrone wanted a re-up right after. He's like, the only way you do it is if you get the tattoo. He's not getting that fucking tattoo. So I think the only logical move is Conor Paul. I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
I think Conor Paul happens before Paul Canelo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Paul hasn't lost. I think Paul's got a really good shot at beating Conor. I think Conor, if he works the deal right, can secure the bag for the fight, making a lot of money, and just go away.
Yeah. I think that's exactly where his mindset's at right now too. Is like he's trying to chase the money. He's had the titles in the past. I think he's just in it for the money.
The hard part, man, is like his lifestyle. Even at his, I mean, I don't know what he sold his whiskey company, right? Lundo, fact check. Lundy's on it. Like I'm pretty sure he sold his whiskey company for like I want to say a couple hundred. He's probably done that at least in career earnings, especially off his Mayweather fight.
He just posted he made $100 million last year.
But do you want to know how much he spends?
Oh, dude. He spends a lot of money.
I don't know what his I mean, obviously, hopefully, or not obviously, hopefully he has people looking after the finances side of things. But it's like, I don't.
That's a slippery slope.
You got some watches there, man, that are like, you got an $18-20 million watch.
Yeah.
It tells
Did you see his one watch recently? It's a fucking roulette wheel. Click the button and then the wheel spins. It's amazing. It's like $180,000.
But it's not. Does it tell you the time?
No, who cares? It's a
Who
roulette
cares?
wheel.
It's not even a watch at that point.
Yeah, he wears on the wrist.
What
So the whole deal was $600 million.
For
Of proper 12 to this place, Proximo Spirits,
okay.
and I think he was a 49% or 51% owner of it.
So you got half of like 800 racks.
Yeah,
600.
half of 600,000.
600. So
I
you made million. Sorry, 300 million.
So yeah,
So you made 300 million off the whiskey. You got 20 million out the door in watches. That doesn't bode well, man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I think you got to start living more conservatively, or who knows? He doesn't have to do what he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He puts 100 of that in the bank and he's fine forever. But I don't know. I'm worried. The only person I'm not worried about is Paul. Like he can step away right now with a perfect boxing record and be totally fine.
But he's not going to.
No, but I think he needs to now look to fight more legitimate contenders. Not that I think, I don't think that Woodley and Conor are any different. Like, I think Conor's a better pure striker than Woodley is. But Conor's small, and it's also being good at a thing that doesn't carry over doesn't matter, right? Striking in the UFC clearly doesn't carry over, as we've seen in the last couple of fights. Like, last couple of boxing matches converted over from good strikers. Striking and boxing are two different things. They could both be good golfers. It doesn't fucking matter. Boxing is a totally different sport. So it's like, I don't see a situation where anything else happens other than Conor and Paul. Like, I feel like that's the storyline that's been building.
Yeah. I think it's logical. I mean, he's got to get his fucking weight back on his ankle again. You see that thing snap?
Oh, I totally forgot about that. But hey, what a better place to collect a purse and not be shook. Knock off the cobwebs, right? Like, you want to get over performance anxiety. The last time you were under lights, you were a fucking, one of my favorite. That Rogan sliding in for the broken shin interview. Like, dude, let the guy go to the fucking hospital.
Dude, the memes, the fucking memes.
The only thing better is if that Rogan around the crying Conor was the Rogan sliding in around Bernie on the chair with the mittens. Like, that's like the meta meme of 2021. It's just if man. Rogan was, someone make that, please, for the love of God.
That's the State of the Union address. That's what that
is. But you just need to have the guy in there with that, like, stormed the Capitol building looking like the Simpsons character. That's 2021 in a meme. Someone please make that. Oh, Rogan sliding in to interview. Bernie sitting on the chair with the fucking guy wearing the horns and the raccoon tails riding on the Capitol building.
That image is exactly why Elon's trying to live on Mars.
Yeah, I'm out. This is what gets people's attention. Maybe Paul fights Elon. That'd be a hell of a card.
So there's this crazy thing. I'm just looking through all this. It says on a few different things that Jake Paul announces his retirement from boxing.
This is recent news.
This is on DAZN. This is on Yahoo.
Hold on. Doesn't he have a deal with DAZN?
This is on Twitter. No, I think his deal is with...
Canelo's got a deal with DAZN.
There's a lot of people, yeah. They're kind of... DAZN's kind of trying to take over boxing.
Yeah.
They have like Bellator and I think maybe they got... I don't know. They got a lot of shit like that.
They paid Canelo like $300 million.
Yeah. They paid a lot of people money. But he tweeted, updated status, retired boxer, whatever the fuck that means. Like, It could just. I mean,
Publicity stunt.
he's a genius at that.
He's not.
Yeah.
The world interacts in a way that there's he's sliding through slipstreams.
Sure, genius is the wrong thing to
Yeah,
say.
I thought Einstein was pretty good.
He's a genius. I guess genius in the fucking internet. He's an internet genius.
No,
At doing the
It's just-
internet.
I think
Making
he's
doing
worth
the
people
Twitter,
talk.
TikTok.
He's making people talk is what he's doing.
right, but I don't think he's doing it like a genius sits in a room by themselves and hits ideas back and forth inside their own brain, right? Like I think the world. So this is what I compare it to. You know, have you ever seen the movie Flight, where a coked up Denzel Washington flips a plane to save the world? Dude, unreal. I think of that every time there's turbulence. I'm like, flip it, put my seatbelt on. I'm like, this is it. They're gonna flip the bitch. And I just think he sees the scene where he's about to flip it. He sees like the patch of air in the radar, and he goes, "That's where I'm gonna flip it." And I feel like Jake Paul just happens to be flipping the plane at the right time. That there's a weird patch of air that I think people need. Like, I mean, looking more broadly at what's going on in society, people need to inoculate the severity of everything else with a more severe, like, it's like, you know, when people get stressed out, it's like, I can tell how stressed someone is by the number of drinks they have. It's like, I can tell how crazy the world is because this is the level we need to go to for our entertainment right now. Right? Like how fucked up it is that this is what's drawing our attention, it's not enough to have NBA finals, a World Series, a Lombardi trophy, and a Stanley Cup anymore, because people are jumping off of the wings of planes in Afghanistan. Like, that's not doing it anymore. You know, the idea that fucking Jeter can hit 70 dingers in a fucking in 162 games, it's like, wait, they have the Taliban has how many Humvees? What's this Jake Paul kid doing? This guy's making a lot of sense, right? Like, I feel like it's in reaction to that, but I don't think Jake Paul's his rise to fame is. I think a lot of it is, you know, I'm not saying he's not smart. He's not a genius, and so much of the genius is in just the right time, right? Like this, and was he not the Suicide Forest guy? Doesn't matter. Cancel the whole family. Make him change their last name. You know about that story, right?
I have no idea what that is.
So Logan Paul they're both YouTubers. Logan Paul went to a forest in Japan, which is known as the Suicide Forest. People go there just to, you know, call her quits. And he sort of he was big at the time, enough to garner enough attention off the story, but he went into the forest with his camera or crew or whatever. I've never watched the video. It's probably taken down. And he went into the Suicide Forest and filmed a dead guy hanging from a tree. This is the same fucking guy that fought in Fort Lauderdale at the Hollywood or the Hard Rock Cafe or the Hard Rock Casino and made however many millions of dollars against what's his bucket. Right? Logan Paul. This is the same dude.
So that doesn't sound like privilege to you?
No, dude, 100%. But it's like I don't think what they're doing is purposefully artful. Right. I think it is a consequence of art itself being the art of the 21st century being marketing. And for some reason, they've just fell into or created inadvertently a product market fit.
Right. It's not like they have this master plan. They're very reactionary to the scenario and the situation.
Which is, I think is the playbook right now, because the whole world is reactionary.
Yeah, everyone's got a short attention span. So if you have your fingers on the pulse, you can react and do the right thing at the right time, or at least the thing that's going to have people talking at the right time.
And I think what it is, it's doing anything right now is the right time. Doing something immediately, like that tweet, is going to keep our attention and keep us engaged for the next week. And then what's going to happen is something's going to happen after that. And something's going to happen after that. And then he's like, I guarantee you, he's going to get called out by Conor in the next week or so. And something's going to happen after that. Like, he has to keep attention. It's like his fucking oxygen. It's what keeps this guy alive.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's the social media culture, right? It's like the double taps and the likes, that instant gratification. It's, you know, if he goes radio silent for a week, for a month, then
he's dead.
He's dead, right? Yeah, it's got to be something. It's always got to be the next thing, and that's the people that are celebrities, right? now that's the new celebrity, right? It's social media following.
I just wonder if his move isn't to, because I'm fairly certain he's backing and promoting a handful of other YouTubers. Like, I know he has hands in a production company, like the production company that did. I'm just gonna put this out there. I don't know if I'm to divulge this information, but the company that did previously the I Am Athlete podcast was the same production company that did Jake Paul's YouTube channel, and they since parted ways with I Am Athlete. I'm just putting the business in the streets, but I'm fairly certain that they work with like a cohort of soldiers, because here's the thing, Jake Paul will exist. It might not be Jake Paul, but the figurehead of Jake Paul as a single lightning rod for attention seems to be a seat that needs filling. And if it's going to be this kid with, stupid sunglasses and a bunch of tattoos that talks a bunch of shit, and I don't even think he's that good of a shit talker. Like, he got completely stymied by Woodley in that interview, which is like, dude, be we need someone British. I feel like someone British should be a lot more wittier on the punch. But like, someone's going to fill that spot, right? So he's either stepping aside because he's got the next guy in line and he's got his finger in his pockets and he can ride off, the percentage ownership of some other guy's business, or he's just doing this as a ploy.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, man.
He was born in 1997. Is that
wild?
wild?
I hate it. No, because me, if you're in 1997, you're in the 10th grade.
Exactly.
Because I'm not 31. You're in the 10th grade, and I'm like, what, 22? Yeah, I don't know. It's, it's entertaining. The stories are entertaining. The boxing match itself was kind of like, he kind of got him up against the ropes. Woodley could have finished him. I think Woodley didn't capitalize on an opportunity. Great. Paul deserves to win. But I think the bigger conversation around the centralization of influence of one person is really unheard of. Like, he's more synonymous with sports right now than any professional athlete. Like, at least in North America.
That's a bold statement.
But he's up, dude. Like, if you're thinking of who's around the water coolers around the world, Messi, LeBron, Paul.
That's a bold statement.
It's a numbers game. Dude, look at his views. Look at the attention. I don't think we interact with enough people who watch YouTube as their primary source of entertainment. But without a doubt, that is the case for a lot of people.
That's true.
So I don't think we have exposure because we don't watch. We'll put this on YouTube, but I don't watch YouTube. I go if I need something explained. But
yeah,
it is equal parts YouTube. YouTube is equal parts Google and Netflix. Which makes it such a deadly, and part OnlyFans, which apparently are they still doing the porn thing?
We're back, baby.
We're back.
Porn is back. Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm so glad. Although we would have servers back in restaurants, which would be nice. But
yeah, there's definitely a server shortage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I can tell you what, there's not a shortage of.
The OnlyFans.
Porn. Like, there's definitely, you could start watching all the porn in the world and you would die before you even made it out of, like, just type A into a porn thing and just watch everything. From apples to, I guarantee it. And I've never looked at it. I don't have an apples fetish. But that was a bold move. I feel like someone got fired over that.
Over the porn thing?
Over like hey, what were you thinking?
Maybe it was just a publicity stunt.
You know what's a great publicity stunt?
What's that?
Porn. Porn, like, has been the greatest. Taking your clothes off. Like, look at was it Janet Jackson in the Super Bowl that one year with JT?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine she put a little $9.99 a month paywall over that, dude. she'd be riding high. But I don't know. That was a really interesting move. Like, maybe it was like maybe it's the Paul retirement. Like, haha, JK. Just kidding. We're still gonna do porn now. Like, haha, just kidding. We're still gonna do boxing now.
Maybe they just wanted to like get a gauge on how into it people are. They're
right.
really into this
like,
porn stuff.
Hey, what are you doing
right.
here? What are you? I got that PayPal account just for that one thing to come out. Like,
well, that's what they said. They said it was to do with the banks, like not wanting to take the money or deal with.
Didn't Pornhub run into an issue like that?
I have no idea, but porn is such a huge industry. How are people not on board with just paying for it. Like,
wasn't there a thing where there was some like shit in Facebook with like child porn or some nonsense like that? Yeah, but like complete like here you're censoring like, you know, maybe more conservative right-wing agendas as a, you know, a private company, but apparently they had a huge breach of their policies with like legitimate problem, indictable offenses, raiding your house in the middle of the night, child porn stuff on Facebook. So I think it's funny. You always know when something's like a miss in the business community when you get 17 emails updating terms and conditions you'd agreed upon to things that you didn't even know you had. It's like I had a Shopify store I didn't even know I had until they're like, Europe is doing some stuff with like import laws and everything. I got Facebook, Instagram. You can't send links to other countries through DMs anymore. Did you know that?
Is that a real thing?
That's a real thing. I've tried to, and maybe they've since rectified it, but I tried to send a link to, I don't know, a book or something to someone on DM that was in another country. It was like in the UK. Couldn't do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, the link wouldn't open on their end.
Was it involving child porn?
It was not. It was not, but thank you for clarifying. Just to go on the record. On the record. But no, it's, that level of regulation is never it's not gonna go away, right? But it's just interesting to me that no credit card company our credit card company still took money out for Facebook ads. They didn't stop using American Express, but all of a sudden, you know, stuff that shows up on porn sites that probably like, yeah, that's what people go to those for, that they're gonna stop that. And I just love the virtue signaling of credit card companies. Like, whoa, hey. Even we got limits. It's like, come on, man. Really? No, you'll take anyone's money. But I think it's just like the social outrage machine dies down a bit. It's like, all right, hey, can we get on? Like, we're making a lot of money on the porn thing. Can we get back on that real quick?
That's what it is. Regulation follows money, right? Wherever the money is flowing, the government or whoever it is, they're going to want to get their cut.
Yeah, and I think that's the way out of the COVID stuff. Vote with your dollars. Like Trudeau, we got an election coming up soon. When's the election?
I don't know.
Are you voting?
August 5th, maybe? Or, yeah.
Lundo.
October 5th. I think it's October 5th.
I'm definitely going to
skip it.
No, voting. Absolutely voting this time. Trudeau's got to go. That's my opinion. Not that I like sharing my political opinion, but like the current state of things is not okay.
I say they all got to go, really.
Lundy for prime minister. I'm going to vote for, if you're out there, just vote for an independent. Lundy. What happens if you get voted in and you weren't running?
You're stuck.
You're stuck? It's like getting, what's it called? Jury duty.
No, it's Maze Gilliam from Head of State.
level.
You ever see that movie?
What?
Head of State with Chris Rock.
Oh, go Maze. Yeah. Go Maze. What a reference.
Alderman Maze Gilliam.
He
just became the front runner for president.
Yeah.
Great fucking movie.
I'd vote for you for prime minister.
Hell yeah.
But
I'd fuck some shit up.
It's pretty fucked right now.
I'd keep it going.
Dude, Doug Ford is building a ridiculous cottage right now that no one knows about in Muskoka. And I've been seeing pictures through an unidentified source. And it's like, if the public knew the fucking mansion this guy's building on the lake up in Muskoka. Muskoka is like our upstate New York. It's our Hamptons. It's Ontario Hamptons. Okay. It's a problem. That would be a PR. I don't know if, like, I don't watch the news, so I don't know if it's already out there, but I've been seeing some pictures from a guy who doesn't know that I'm talking about this on the podcast. But it's like, if the public saw Doug Ford's new cottage, they'd be very upset that this is where the Premier of Ontario is spending his weekends while spending his weeks importing or implementing vaccine passports and stopping you from going to restaurants because you don't have a piece of paper that infringed on your...
Fucking wild.
It's not good. If you're out there in Ontario, please vote October 5th and just vote for it. Just vote. Just exercise your right because you're getting a lot of your rights, I think, taken away. So if at the very least, enjoy what little you have left.
He was so dead set against it too.
Yeah, so was Trudeau.
For so long. Everybody. And then, you know whose fault it is? Them fucking doctors. Trying to tell us how to do things, how to live our lives.
That's why we play doctors on the internet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we started a podcast.
Way better approach.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting times. But vote with your money, man. Like, I think, and that's what we're doing. And I think, you know what it is? I think this Paul thing is giving people a modicum of control. It's like they feel like they have like skin in the game. They feel invested in this because they're so. Because I don't think this is why I don't think Paul's a genius, is because he's existing in such unique times that people like Paul have existed in times where people have felt out of control. They just never had the access to the frequency, the pitch, and the magnitude to be inundated with one human being's name so often. Right? Like we're talking about him. We're a fucking fitness podcast. We don't know anything about boxing. I don't know anything about anything, but I know about
anything
him.
about this guy.
Right.
Yeah,
but it's
know
like
that he exists,
which is more than you can say about most people and
yeah.
us, right? Like we don't get the eyeballs that this guy gets.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't think he's a genius. Is like people are looking to divert their attention away from the crazy shit that's going on. People are looking to have a modicum of investment into something. Like they didn't have pro sports. They can't go cheer for the fucking, you're going to sit in a restricted stadium. You need to have a proof of vaccination to get into a fucking Blue Jays game. It's an outdoor stadium. Pull the roof back. I'm outside. What? Like you can't do that anymore. And people don't want to go through the fucking ring roll to do it, but it's like, what's this? Who can have my attention? So it's like, that's why I don't think he's a genius, is I think there's a lack of control, like a perception of a lack of control from people who otherwise could exercise that lack of control by painting their face and going down to the Scotiabank and cheering for the Raptors. You can't do that anymore. Like, all right, it's like, what are you gonna do? Just fucking hit your kids all day? Like, what are your options here? It's like you fucking go watch this other guy just fuck shit up on the internet. But we'll see. But so making predictions. Lundo, next fight. Who do you think? What's the next Paul move? You said he just retired. I don't buy it for a fucking second.
I was reading some more into it. It was kind of he was talking about taking time off.
A week?
So saying he retired is just a fucking stupid way of saying he's going to take time off. So whatever. I'm retired from coming to the studio.
Yeah.
But I'm back next
We'll
week.
see you Tuesday.
Yeah.
Just MJ it. No, I think Conor's the smartest decision for both of them. And I don't think Conor's going to get Khabib or Cormier or whoever. Poirier. Who's Cormier?
Chris
Is that a guy?
Yeah, it is. Fuck, I forget his name because he's actually related to an old professional bodybuilder.
There you go.
Chris Cormier.
I don't think he's getting anybody good in the UFC. His time is kind of dwindling away. I don't know how many contracts he has left with or how many fights on his contract he has left. So I think it's Conor, or it's going to be another schlub. Like what
about Diaz?
Well, he's got guys yelling at him all the time to fight. Every single like bum UFC fighter's like, yeah, I'll fuck you up, and some of them might.
Right.
Like
Diaz.
imagine Prep Black. We'll get Prep Black to go fight him. Who knows what happened?
Prep versus who?
First, Paul.
Paul? Yeah, but Prep striking. He's a UFC striker, not a boxer.
So we'll see what happens.
I think, dude, if Paul
Paul's
doesn't
huge.
fight
He's a big motherfucker.
yeah,
That's
but
what
if
he has
Paul
going
doesn't
for him.
fight a boxer, I think he wins.
Yeah,
I think
most
he wins
of the time.
that every day.
Most of the time, yeah. Unless he fights a big guy who's got some good conditioning, then maybe it would be a little bit closer.
Mirko Krokop.
Yeah.
I love just bring Krokop back from like the KGB or wherever the fuck he's right now.
That'd be sick.
He's like Putin's bodyguard or some shit. All right, so you're calling McGregor's a call. What about you? What do you got?
Smartest way.
I'd say McGregor. I'd like
Yeah.
to see that. I don't know. I think that's the best move all around for everyone's intentions in the scenario. Like
I would love to see Khabib just feed him his teeth for the dad comment. I think Khabib is such an honorable athlete. Like I think he's the embodiment of like I don't know, the underdog story. He's the embodiment, especially for fighting. Like, when he comes out with that, because everyone thought the wig was like a showmanship thing, but it's actually like a very traditional thing from Russian shit or something like that. And like the relationship with his dad. Like, I think Conor's got to pay for that. That's the redemption I want to see, is let Conor fight Khabib and let Khabib off the chain.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want. I think
I'd watch that one.
Paul McGregor, I think is the likely move. I think you'll see a Twitter storm this week start stirring up, and I think that'll be the next play. Because I think Paul is fine. Like I don't think Paul's got to fucking worry. Like yeah, he took that one lick, had him in the ropes, but other than that, like I think he'd be good to go for another camp in the near future.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it's like to wake up after a boxing match, dude. Fuck, dude.
I don't know. How much money did he secure?
You wake up feeling pretty good, I bet. He's probably just got wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
true.
following Jake Botswick's story. They were turned to I was waking up at 4 a.m. and they were still out going ham.
Yeah.
So I've never woken up. I'll tell you what. I've woken up after getting the shit kicked out of me much more times than I've woken up with millions of dollars in my bank account. So I'm just going to say I'm open to trying it. I'm open to trying getting because every time I've gotten beat up, I've also lost money somehow. The night has gone very wrong, and then it got worse. And but yeah, the predictions here first, dude. A couple weeks, we'll be doing this live. I'm saving the seat for you. Not actually get my shit in there, but guys, RX Radio YouTube, check it out. It's up on the Prescript YouTube channel, so see the high res goodness of the studio. Lundy's put a lot of hard work into it.
Nobody said anything about it. No YouTube comments. No,
because it's been so gradual.
They hadn't even noticed.
Right?
I'm just gonna keep
slop
bucket. It looks beautiful.
I appreciate the hell out of that, man. I needed that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
It's good stuff, man. All right, guys. So that's it for today. Appreciate your time. Subscribe, like, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you guys.